Hey everyone, today we're going to talk to you about home inspections. Yay, my favorite subject.
It really is.
What's important to know, what to expect, and how to go about them. Let's get into it.
Hey everyone, I'm Amber Moore.
And I'm Bret Wallace.
And we're your Houston Local Guide. Okay, so you know what I'm gonna say before we get into it. Go ahead, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell. We do release a new video every single week, and while you're down below, please get our contact information. You'll find our email address and our phone number. We're getting lots of calls off our YouTube channel, and we are so grateful. So keep all the requests and comments coming. We're so grateful. So as Bret mentioned, we are talking home inspections.
Let's get into it.
This is such an important topic and one that we deal with on a regular basis because we are realtors here in the greater Houston area. And while this isn't maybe a general Houston topic, it is impacting all of our clients. So we thought this was a really good topic to cover. So go ahead.
And I do want to mention that we practice real estate in Texas. So if we say anything specific and it might be a little different in your neck of the woods, you know, we're just talking to you about the norms in the greater Houston area in Texas specifically.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some things that'll apply to, you know, multiple markets. But first, let's talk about the types of inspections.
Let's do that.
So you get a home under contract. Talk with your real estate agent. And
preferably us.
Yes. The most important thing, the most comprehensive inspection is going to be something we call a structural and mechanical inspection. That is going to be the 95% of the bulk of your inspection. Obviously, if there's a pool and a spa, you're going to want to get a pool and spa inspection. Some of these structural mechanical inspectors also do that. Some of them also do charge like a la carte, for sprinkler systems. I've seen that too, but definitely you're going to want the sprinkler systems checked if they're there. So whether it's included, you're going to have a discussion and you're kind of interview, maybe or talk to one or two inspectors and kind of just ask, but you want to know the scope of your inspection. WDI, which is kind of known as a termite inspection, wood destroying insect. WDI reports, they're sometimes required with certain loans, like VA loans, they're required. So you're going to want to make sure that you have all of the people in place to do the full scope of the inspection that you want conducted. Sometimes that's one inspector. Sometimes one inspector will schedule the WDI, the termite people specifically, and try to get them to come by and do it while they have the house open and they're doing their structural mechanical. So you just want to make sure that you have all the different things that you want inspected. Yeah,
and just plan for it up front. And number one is you always want to get a home inspection, which is why we're doing this video in the first place. And Bret and I deal
even on new construction.
100%. And just sidebar there, I helped a client with a new home construction. We had a 19-page report on an inspection. And guess what? The builder pretty much gets that whole list and we're like, hey, you need to fix it. So it's very, very important to have that third party research and verification done, like Bret said, even on new homes. So,
and obviously on new home construction, you can do slab pour. If you are building from dirt, you can get the foundation, three-phase usually. You can get the pre-pour, which is making sure that all the forms are done, like the plumbing before the pour goes in, right? Because once it's done, it's done. So you can do a pre-pour inspection, and then a pre-drywall, pre-insulation inspection, which is my favorite new construction. And then you can always do the final when the home is complete, which is the same inspection as a resale. Home that was built in 1985 is going to get the same inspection that final phase new construction is going to get.
Yeah, so we have relationships with inspectors. We can obviously refer someone to you, but our rule of thumb is we'll provide a list. You really need to feel comfortable with whoever it is that you're hiring, because ultimately you're paying for the service to be done. We're helping just kind of facilitate and work logistics out with the other side. So we can work with you on that. And then let's just talk about scheduling it and how we go about it once we identify the inspector or inspectors.
Okay, so when we're negotiating a deal and the other agent says, hey, my seller accepted, I'm already texting my preferred inspector, what do you have open this week? Because right now it's 2021, inspectors are booked. So I'm already like, hey, what opens do you have in the next 7 days, 10 days? And we're doing shorter option periods, which is the termination option. So basically buyers purchase the unrestricted right to terminate contracts in the first blank days, usually 7, 10, it can be 5, it can be 8. But basically the first few days of the contract is when you're going to do your inspections, because that's when you have the ability to walk away from the contract. The unrestricted, again, Texas law here, real estate law, you have the unrestricted right to terminate the contract because you've paid an option fee to have that option to walk away if you find something that's just monumentally
like termites, which has happened,
or the slab's cracked or the roof's gone and they won't fix it. You know, you have the option to walk away and get your 1% earnest money back. For the small nominal fee of your option, which is $200-$400 usually
at most. Probably. So,
you know, you're out the cost of the option fee and the inspection, but hey, you didn't buy a lemon, right? So that's good. That's a good investment. So you usually do your inspections as soon as possible after you've commensurated a contract and you have a deal in place and an executed contract. So right off the bat, that's step one.
Yeah, exactly. So we get it scheduled. I would say, Bret, a typical inspection, depending on who you have, how big the house is, there's a lot of factors. How old
the house is, yeah.
Right. It's going to be probably several hours at least. So we like to tell our clients during that time, though, we have kind of reign of the house. So the inspector will open up the home. Inspectors are licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission here in Texas, so that's very important. And they start going through their checklist of everything they need to cover. So you, as the buyer, have a right to be in the home. We always say, hey, bring a family member if you want to take some room measurements, if you want to look at paints, bring paint samples. This is the time because we're already in the home. Why not?
Tape measure, you're like, hey, is my old couch going to fit in this space? Tape measure. We have laser tape measures. Just let us know.
Really cool.
Yeah. So, I'm not really, but yeah. So measure, paint samples, whatever ideas. This is like free reign because usually the seller's not around. Just out of courtesy, the sellers usually leave. We have free reign of the home. So if you want to bring your mother-in-law or your sister, or your cousin, or whoever, this is the time to show them the home that you are basically under contract on, and that pending a good inspection and appraisal, it's yours, right? And the loan goes through if you're not paying
exactly.
cash.
So yeah, and towards the end of the inspection, what will happen is the inspector will do what we call a summary of everything, and this will be the key findings of the hours that this person has been in the home. Bret and I are definitely always a part of that. We want to be there to hear everything with you firsthand. This is very important. Now, this is not to say that you're not going to get a full documentation of all of this, because you will be issued a report from the inspector that will have every single thing that he has found, including photos.
Or she, Amber, it's 2021. There are female inspectors. Jeez. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyway, so what she's saying is this, is that if the inspector...
I'm not sexist.
If the inspector... Yeah, let's hope not. If the inspector starts at 1 p.m. and it's a 3,000 square foot home, and it's built in 1995, he might say, probably about a 4-hour inspection. So
he or she could say.
Yeah. So I did it too. Whatever. Anyway, basically, if the inspector says I'll be wrapping up around 4, unless you want to do the other stuff we talked about, paint samples, measurements, all that cool stuff, showing your mom the home, get there about 15 minutes before, like 3:45, 3:30, 3:45. That's when we usually show up, right? Because that's when the inspector's like, hey, I'm about 10 minutes away from being done. Perfect. I'm gonna check an email. Cool. We can't wait for the summary. We have clients that say, hey, do I have to be present at the summary? No, but it's better if you are. Because if you look at the report just by itself later in the day or the next day, you're going to be like, oh my God, the house is going to fall apart. This is a 47-page report. We just had an inspection on a 3,300 square foot home, 92 pages.
No joke.
And the inspector at the end, and our client wasn't there, but we were on speakerphone. Amber and I both attended. We were on speakerphone, and because FaceTime wouldn't work, and he said, and the inspector's like, no, this home's above average condition. Like I like a lot the main things.
I would let my mom live here, which is always our question. Would you let your mother live here? And if they say yes, you're like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this.
So, but if I hadn't talked to the inspector, and the next day I just clicked on the PDF file and it said one of 92 pages, I'm on the front page, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, the city needs to bulldoze this place now. I mean, everybody's in danger, right? So, okay, expectations. This is a huge thing we try to preach to our clients. The older the home, the more square footage, the longer the report. Just like a used car that has 150,000 miles on it and it's 25 years old, the mechanic's probably going to say, hey, there's a few things that can be done,
right?
Wink, wink.
Good analogy,
like a lot of things.
Yeah.
So versus, a 1,700 square foot new home construction should be a shorter report. Having said that, we're going to see long reports even on new construction. Mm-hmm. Okay, the inspectors, they risk their license if they miss things. No one's perfect, but the lion's share of all the important things are going to be, And if you Google your inspector and there's a lot of bad reviews and a lot of complaints that they've missed stuff, probably stay away. But for the most part, any inspector that's been doing this a while is pretty good and is going to do the same battery of cert tests and kind of like the same procedure checking everything.
Right, and a lot of it really just truly is documentation because they have to show what they've checked. So it could
a lot of CYA.
Exactly, it could be in good condition, but there might be some deficiencies. So that's really what we're looking at. Specifically, are there major big ticket items that there's an issue with? Such as, is the air conditioning unit about to go out? Is the roof about ready to cave in? You know, roofs and ACs are big issues. Are there termites? That's an obvious. But Brett, what other major things would you say that you've seen?
I would say all of your mechanicals, right? So plumbing, electrical, which even goes towards water heaters. They're not expensive, but if there's a water heater problem with the TPR, the temperature and pressure relief, if there's a lot of sediment at the bottom and it doesn't get back flush and it's not maintained and it's 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, water heaters are $400 or $500, probably another $400 or $500 to get them installed, a little more if they're in the attic, cheaper if they're in the garage. But anything water related is going to be something we key in on. Because in the 25 days from the inspection to closing, you don't want water to come cascading down from the roof and ruin 20 grand worth of hardwood floors and sheetrock, and it'd be a disaster. So obviously, anything water related, but your big ticket items, mainly in Houston, just because the heat and the sun and being on the coast with some of the extreme weather and the tropicals, get a lot of high winds. Your roofs take a hell of a beating down here. So those can be you start getting to 14, 15, 16 years, you really need to start expecting, even those 30-year composition roofs don't have much, they just get smoked down here. So roof's the biggest ticket item. Most foundations, we're built on clay, and here in Houston, it's basically a swamp. So there's always going to be settling.
Right.
You want to make sure there's not, 45-degree cracking from window frames, doors sticking. There's some telltale signs, uneven floors. But for the most part, foundations typically, especially in the homes built in the last 20, 30 years, they perform pretty well. A lot of them are post-tension, and there can also be foundation adjustments and foundation, extra piers and put in. So there's a lot of homes that are over 20, 30 years old down here I'd say, half of them have had foundation.
Like the home we grew up in, which was built in the 50s. And I remember our parents having to put the beams in under the home, and they jacked up our house with 3 feet on one side. That's an extreme situation. But
yeah. And these foundation repair companies have gone, the things they can do is incredible. And they're usually lifetime transferable
oh, that's a good
warranties.
Point.
Yeah. The more reputable, Old Sean, Jericho, Cherry, they're pretty good down here. And they stay busy. So those are your big ticket items, your AC, like Amber mentioned. So the inspection, you're going to find tons of things like there's a slight drip at one of the bathroom faucets.
Right, the toilet's
or
loose.
There's a door stop, or the door jamb the doors need to be adjusted. They're sticking. We're not. This is big boy and big girl time, right? We're buying a home and an investment. So the way that we approach things, and this is for. You got to know what's important to you, right? But the way that we approach sellers is that we say, hey, these are the 4 biggest items in our opinion. And talk to your real estate agent, talk to contractors, your inspector's going to be very hesitant to say, hey, this is how much this is going to cost to fix.
Right, yeah.
But they might be able to point in the right direction or kind of have, an off the record with you. But you kind of want to get a cost analysis of what 3, 4, 5 things are most major to you. And instead of saying, hey, Mr. Seller, can you call these 4 different people in the next 30 days and fix these things for me? And then hopefully the appraisal comes in fine, our loan goes fine, and we close on the home, and none of us get a job transfer or a change of heart before closing after you spent all this money out of pocket on these things that we could have fixed. Once we take over the house and fix them the way we want with our people, it is so much cleaner and neater. And then also, somebody says, hey, put in a new kitchen faucet for us. And it's like, okay, I'll put an oil rub bronze kitchen faucet. The seller's going to go buy the cheapest one that Lowe's has ever been known to carry. And why would they not? I mean, if they're going to spend, and like, oh, I wanted a Kohler or a Mullen faucet with a pull down faucet with a vegetable sprayer. Yeah, you would have spent $300 because it's going to be your home. These are problems that we come across a lot of the times, and then the week of closing, there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of problems, and it's just
I thought they were going to do this. Oh no, this was my expectation. It's just easier and cleaner. What you're saying is to do some type of concession, possibly off the sales price.
Yes, let's get a closing cost contribution. If it's $3,500, if we haven't used all the closing costs and the home's appraised, let's take $3,500, donate to closing costs, or reduce the price of the home by $3,500. So much neater, so much easier. Just it'll save us all from, I would say, gray hairs or no hair, right, or less hair. Yeah, okay. I'll lose my facial hair, which I know I should have. I can't even grow a full beard, and I'm almost 40. But so let's talk monies, not specific repairs, unless it's water related, there's a hole in the roof and the next rainstorm.
Extreme safety issue.
If it's going to deteriorate the property in the next 20, 30 days, then yes, we need to talk physical repair. Sometimes the inspector will call, if the AC won't even fire on or something, they might call and say, hey, you need a licensed HVAC. So sometimes we do have to get more specialists involved beyond the regular inspector. Because, I mean, an AC system can be 5, 7, 10 grand, right? So if something's not working, if it's really making the inspector nervous, then yes, maybe we do have to schedule someone else. And then while they're there, they can give us a work order and a cost estimate for what needs to be done. And of course, you want to I'd rather bring three $3,000 items to the seller's attention than, $25, $300 items.
Exactly.
It's very kind of not insulting, but the dollar amount's the same. But like, there's 23 things wrong with my house. I'd rather go with 3 big ones. And
yeah, we're not forwarding the inspection report to the other side when we represent the buyer.
Unless they ask for it, yes, because it's just discourteous.
Yeah.
In the circles that we run in, you probably practice real estate different in other places, or you've heard of it done different. That's fine, but again, we're trying to simplify this process. You're buying a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 home, $500,000 sometimes. Let's not bring up $50, $100, $150 things, okay? Especially in our market right now, the seller will just say, next, bye. So we'll make it as easy as possible. But so I think that kind of covers inspections. Obviously, if you have any additional or specific questions, please reach out to us. Email, call, text message, whatever. Comment below. But please, like Amber said, please subscribe to the channel. Click the notification. Once a week we're throwing out hot content, right? So definitely be on the lookout for that. And Amber, you want to wrap us up?
No, that's everything. You summarized it perfectly. Wow.
That's
I am pretty impressed. I know. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.